So we just gave those of you that just joined a 5-minute grace period here. Melissa is managing the chat. So when you hop in, go ahead and mute yourself and turn off your camera. So I will take it away. You know what I was thinking to myself is, why haven't we done this sooner, right? So why did it take something like a national crisis to bring us all together? So that was one of the things that I was just asking myself here as we went along. But gosh, it's so good to see all of you. And what a great platform that we could all come together in this way from all over the country to get the information that we're going to be talking about tonight. So consider this a 90-day debriefing for your health and your sanity. And I really just, it came to me on Saturday that I really wanted to call this meeting with all of us in our community to touch base with you really face to face and hear about what some of your health challenges that you're facing as a result of being at home from COVID. Like what are we all dealing with here? So I wanted to offer up some words of advice for overcoming the challenges, specifically over the next 90 days. And so because of that, I want to ask some questions. I kind of want to get a pulse here of where we're at. And I am going to ask Melissa to unmute herself as you guys answer. So we really could get a feel here for what's happening. So what I want to know is on a scale of 1 to 5, so 5 being a lot of stress, how are you doing mentally now with the crisis at hand? So just go ahead and put in the chat box. You could put anywhere from a 1 to a 5 of where you feel like you are. Okay, so that's question number 1. And then Melissa, as those answers come in, you can kind of, and I want all of you participating. So if you're not on a call and you've got your computer in front of you, you can put it in right there at the chat box, because I really want to feel like, okay, what is going on? I want to get my finger on the energy of our community.
Hey, Dr. Purcell, I'm popping in. This is Melissa. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. We have numbers rolling in, and they are up and down. We have 1s up to 4s. I'm not seeing many 5s, but we are all over the board right now, Dr. Purcell.
Okay. All right. And thank you. Thank you for all of those who participated. And my next question is, how are you feeling right now about your health? Like, how concerned are you about being high risk? And 5, is really scared. So on a scale of 1 to 5, where do you feel like you're at personally with how this is affecting you?
Okay, this is a little better. We're looking at an average of 3, 3 and under for the most part.
Okay, good. All right. So again, thank you all for participating. And maybe for those that haven't, maybe this is your opportunity. Question number 3 is, where do you feel the stress is impacting your body the most? So could be your mind with racing thoughts. I know a lot of people, it hits our digestion and we get like really like butterflies in our stomach. The other, some people feel paralyzed in fear, like they just can't move forward. So just share kind of, where do you feel like the stress is hitting you?
Yeah, we're looking at a lot of mind, energy levels, anxiety, stomach. Yeah, all very common. Unusual depression feelings. A lot of energy, anxiety, mind, Dr. Purcell, coming in.
Okay, great. All right, good. Thank you for being honest, everyone that shared. As I go along tonight, I want you to enter into the chat box what you really want to know regarding COVID. What questions can I answer for you? That is not, we are going to cover that in the Q&A, so you will get all of your questions answered. But I want to just kind of move along here with our, with what I want to talk about. So honestly, my heart totally is breaking for what is happening in the world and in our country. And it is real, and it is spreading, and a lot of lives will be lost. And to those of you here, hopefully that you and your families are healthy and they're well, and you're kind of nestled safely in quarantine by your own choice. For those of you who are in quarantine, not of your own choice, maybe because you have been exposed, it's entirely different. And you should be reaching out to your primary care doctors for direction, and having someone who can support you, whether it be on the phone or just keep tabs on you during this time. I will say that I know many of you, and I know your health histories, your medications, and really what your health issues are. As of right now, we are not able to widely test, and everyone must be triaged. So, recommendations are to call your doctor, not rush to urgent care. So even if you do feel sick, the recommendations are just take a deep breath, get your phone in your hand and call your doctor to find out what the next best step for you may be. They are holding on to the tests for the more severe cases. And, it's kind of like we need to save those tests for someone who's really who needs it. So as I was mentioning, last Saturday, I wake up in the early morning and things come to me, and I was like, I really need to cover the 5 things that we need to be doing right now for ourselves and our health as we move through this crisis. So I'm happy to be here with you all tonight. So for all of us that are kind of safely in isolated quarantine, I want us to emerge after 90 days victorious, to not have lost our health, and really to have gained way more than we lost from being isolated, and to not have gained the slated 20 pounds that comes with a COVID quarantine, because those are the numbers out there. And honestly, my one and only goal is for everyone in this community to be healthy. And in order to be healthy, there are things that we need to implement into our routines during this time that are going to ensure our success. And social distancing is key. It's the key to protecting yourself, but also other people around you. And because we're behind in our efforts to manage the situation, it really is the only defense that we have. So if people are loosely following it, they could be asymptomatic, which means they don't have any symptoms. They're shedding the virus, and then they're putting somebody else at risk, and vice versa. So that's the situation with younger people in the population, because right now, young adults and kids 19 or below don't seem to be having any effects from COVID, or very, very mild, thank the Lord. At the same point in time, they can be asymptomatic, and they can be shedding to other people, and maybe putting people who are at high risk sick. So that's the whole purpose of this. Just as an aside, I am going to be hosting live educational presentations in the future. Those are going to be to things like immunity, stress, digestive health, inflammation. On those, I'm going to talk about those particular topics. And on those, you can invite your friends, your family members, your coworkers, and they're a great way just to learn about natural medicine and the approach that we take. But tonight is about that. Tonight is about you and how we're going to manage this. So I want to share really this time and my knowledge so you can better navigate the next 90 days. Also, if you were unaware, I am blogging daily. I'm blogging. We specifically have a COVID-19 blog right now, and I'm just talking about the real challenges that we're facing in isolation and making suggestions on how to improve it and improve our circumstances. So again, we can all emerge victorious in this. Hang on to your questions, put them in the chat box. You don't even have to hang on to them, just type them in. Melissa's gonna be recording them, and we'll get to them at the end. But really the reason I'm doing this is to help you. Again, my one and only goal is for us to emerge, like we go into a cocoon and then we just emerge like butterflies 90 days from now. So we just need a little planning and guidance to get us there. Many of you know me, you've known me for a long time. Some of you don't, not all that well. And, you know, when we get to a situation like this, it's kind of like, well, yeah, I'm Dr. Purcell, and yeah, I've been in practice for 18 years, but who am I to help our community through this? Because I've never been in a situation like this before. And while that's true, I have been pushed and stretched and shoved, sometimes against my will, into uncertainty, and I have overcome it. So, you know, I've been in practice for 18 years, and there've been many challenges with that. However, I really want to share a more personal story with you about a time in my life when I faced tremendous uncertainty. You know, and I call it my surrender story, because one of the reasons why I asked that question at the beginning is where are we mentally? Because this is a situation where we are grieving a life that we had very recently and we no longer have. It was one of the things that I put on the blog that was posted yesterday about the stages of grief to help us mentally move through this faster. So in my story, you know, last February, my husband, Gerardo, he received word that he was required to go to Mexico to wait for his green card interview. And he was given 60 days to voluntarily deport. He didn't have an interview date set, and we'd been waiting for a date since December of 2018. So on Easter Sunday last year, he left for Mexico. And honestly, to the best of everyone's knowledge, he'd be back within a few months' time. And we planned for 4 months. And financially, childcare, my work schedule, travel, you know, so on. I just built, okay, what's the worst case scenario? Gerardo will be gone for 4 months. And then I built supports into that to help myself. And what happened was the days went into weeks. The weeks went into months. Our son Braulio, he started kindergarten this past August, and there was still no word of Gerardo's interview. Childcare was a real problem. I had nothing set up for public school and all of that. I tried frantically to find it. Things were waitlisted, you know, 5 months out. And, you know, with any family in Arizona to help us, I had to rely on near strangers to help me pick up Braulio in the afternoons. And you know what? People, they showed up. I found one parent I knew from preschool the year before. I found friends of friends. A dad from church offered to pick him up one day. I hired babysitters. And really, I just wanted to maintain some source of normalcy for our son. And what happened was most days I was just bone tired, weary from the emotional strain. And the worst part was I had no idea when Gerardo would come back. And I would just get into bed at night and I would just look at this empty place. And so I was forced to slow down and take it one day at a time. And the hardest part was not letting my mind wander off into what if. You know, there's the saying, they say that faith begins where understanding ends. And I couldn't understand it. And so I guess I turned to faith. So one of the things, it's really interesting how life works, that I had committed to at the beginning of 2019 was a 1-year Bible project. And I had read thousands of books in my life, but not the Bible. So the Bible became this one consistent thing that I could rely on every single night before I went to bed. And it helped move me on those nights and keep me going into action when Gerardo was gone. I mean, no one had a direct answer for us, simply that he was just on a list and his time would come. And really what I wanted in all that uncertainty was I wanted an end date. When is this going to be over? What can I prepare for? And the hardest part was not knowing and not being able to see when it would end. And it's the unknown that just made it so difficult for me to deal with. And I had to reach out more. I reached out more into our church, and I joined a neighborhood group. And some of the people I met were a tremendous support for me as I stumbled through that. But people showed up in ways that I never could have imagined. And I learned to take the next step and the next step and the next step, and I stayed in action. So in essence, I learned how to surrender. And that's why I call it my surrender story, because I surrendered the things that were not in my control. And then I just focused on the things that I could control. And that gave me power. And it allowed me to trust in myself and what I was doing and take the next step. I learned how to identify negative thoughts and just call them out and say, no, I'm going to think a better thought. So just pivot the thoughts. And then I built new structures for myself and Braulio, because we had structures in place that included Gerardo, and Gerardo wasn't there anymore. So what did I have to do? We had to build new routines and new structures and invite new people into our life. And, last November, I took some hits. The holidays were coming, Braulio's birthday was coming, and I just didn't want to believe. I was like in denial that I would have to go through that alone. One of my girlfriends, she came to visit. It was like such a blessing to help. She was here for a whole week. I reached out to some family for emotional support. And then on December 2nd, 2 days after our son's birthday and after Thanksgiving holiday, I got word that Gerardo was scheduled for his interview. And he had his interview on December 4th. And the next week he was home. And that was our Christmas miracle. I'm happy to say that Gerardo and I just celebrated our 9th wedding anniversary. And it's incredible, and it's hard to believe that last Easter and the series of events that happened prepared me for this Easter. So with my story of uncertainty, there are a couple things that I just really want to emphasize. Now is not the time to be paralyzed. Now is the time to think back to times in your life that were hard and remind yourself that you were able to overcome them. Because this is hard, what we're all dealing with right now. And we have all overcome uncertainty in our lives. And I totally understand what it can do to a person. I understand it, and I want to help all of you get through this. So if you're scared right now, I want you to think back to a time in your life when you were dealt the hand of uncertainty and how you managed to overcome it. Just simply remind yourself that you have been stretched before and you have grown as a result and you have come back from it. And I love this quote by Robert Louis Stevenson. He says, life is not a matter of holding good cards. It's a matter of playing a poor hand well. And that's really where we're all at right now. And that's what we're going to do with this virus. We're going to play our best hands because there's wisdom at every crossroads. So let me ask you, what are you going to do to get in the best shape of your life right now? So what we need to do is we need to take care of ourselves personally, and it starts up here. If you've been taking it day by day, hanging on to every word that the media is spouting, it's time to get a plan for yourself and for your families. And I call it an action plan because we need to be in action. It's like a 90-day rollout of schedules and routines and mindset tricks and exercise, you name it. A completely new way of doing life. And we're going to prepare for 90 days. So you just set your mind, okay, we got April 1st, right? So July 1st, you were going to get in the mindset that this is how long we're going to roll this out for. And we just need to accept that life has changed for 90 days. Okay. And now I'm not saying this is all going to be over at the end of 90 days. What I'm saying is we need to set some plan in action and get an end point. And we need to just come to terms with it. Stop resisting it. Stop being angry. And stop doing the worst thing that we can possibly do. I call it thinking and sinking. So it's time to get back on your bicycle and start pedaling hard uphill so that we can overcome this together. All right. So the 5 things that we need to be doing right now to get through the next 90 days, here they are. I'm going to roll them out for you. Okay. Number 1, it starts with up here. We got to manage our thoughts. No doubt there's trouble. These are troubling times. There's a whole bunch of trouble out there. There's trouble in healthcare. There's trouble for healthcare workers. And the healthcare workers right now are the heroes of this story. There's trouble in the economy. We cannot change the trouble in the world, but we can change our troubled mindset. Okay? So we have to start our day with intention. Set an intention for the day. One of the blog posts that I put up was called Winning the Day. How do I win today? And that's about setting an intention. So if you're struggling with that, go back and refer to that blog post. Also, we need to control the influence of the media. If the media is just ravaging your mind and your mind is running away with what ifs, just limit your exposure in minutes or limit how you receive the information. Maybe you turn the volume off and you just read, but you have to know yourself and how sensitive you are and how to protect yourself from the onslaught of this type of information. And if you feel like you're going into what ifs, we need to identify the emotion. Say, I'm feeling really scared right now. I'm feeling really afraid. And you just call it out what it is. Oh, this is anxiety. I know what this is, right? And then we cancel it. We say, no, I'm going to pivot that thought, right? So let's say if it's anxiety or fear, we cancel it. Okay, 3 things that are really good right now. We write them out that I'm grateful for. And then we pivot. Okay, what's good right now? What can I focus on that's good? I did that a lot last year. And then we stay in action. We control the things that we can. I call it staying in motion. That's why this is like an action plan. Like we're training for a heavyweight fight, right? So sitting and thinking, wrong thing to do. We take a step and then we take another step and another step. So for example, you're sitting around, you haven't built an exercise routine for your family yet, build one, right? Start a homeschool schedule if you've got kids at home. Find a way to connect with your friends or your girlfriends online, right? You could have coffee together online. Or, you know, I don't know, one of my other girlfriends, she likes to drink wine. So she was drinking wine, right? Organize something, do some meal planning, ask for help, but stay in action, okay? So number 1, managing our thoughts. Number 2, we're gonna develop a family plan. All right. So in crisis, there are contingency plans, there are debriefings, tactical drills. The same applies to your family. These are, you know, your inner nucleus of people. So life here in the US has changed, and it's going to be changed for a while. So it's time, if you haven't already done it, to call a family meeting. Perhaps it's just you and your spouse. Maybe you live with your sister, your kids. Like, let's all come together to understand that we're in a steep uphill climb for the next 90 days. And so what does that mean? It means that we extend grace to each other. We talk more, not less. We share our concerns and we come up with solutions that are household specific. We address concerns. Okay, hey, I've been seeing that you've been watching a little bit too much media and now you're really angry, or you feel like this. Maybe we need to make some changes, right? So it's also important to discuss what the primary goal of your household is going to be. For example, what's our primary goal? Oh, that we keep all our members safe. And how are we going to do that? And what are members going to do and what are they not going to do? Right? So this is based on your values and how you're going to roll out social distancing for the people in your home with you. So other things, what's important to you as a family? If you say, hey, we're a fit and healthy family, well, then maybe let's create a family workout to do together. But we really, at this time where we're all shoved together, it's a time to tighten up the routines that we do together and our schedules so that everyone feels productive. Because there's nothing worse in a time like this than being idle. So if you see a family member falling into idleness, work up a project or a plan to give them a new purpose and a new job. You know, and it's important to remember that this is the time when people come together. It's a very unique time because, you know, one of my practice members said to me, she said, you know, so much I've backburnered and now I'm able to get through. So it's an opportunity too for amazing things to happen. I can't tell you, I know 3 families who their kids learned to ride a bicycle because the parents were home and they were able to spend time with them. I mean, these were kids, you know, 7, 8, 9 that were still riding around on training wheels. So macaroni and cheese was invented during the Great Depression. I'm not saying we should be eating macaroni and cheese, but perhaps someone in your household is an inventor. All right. So number 3, we're going to use food as medication. As medicine, not as medication. I flipped that around. So food is medicine, not medication. So one of the easiest things that we could do during this time is stress eat, right? So oh, I don't want to think about it. I go to my pantry. I don't quite have a routine. Fruits and vegetables boost immunity. They detoxify the body and they promote healthy body function. It's easy in times of stress to self-medicate with food. Taking that approach is not going to get us into the best shape of our life over the next 90 days. Stress eating only hurts you, and honestly, it feeds a virus. So let's not do it. If you're dealing with that, let's get up, let's move around, try to distract yourself from the sitting and thinking syndrome. This is a great time to meal prep and plan. Many families are cooking and eating together for the first time ever. It's like, yes, it's like my dream come true. You can batch cook and prepare meals so you have plenty left over to use the next day. It's less cooking, less dishwashing, and more good food to spread around to the family. For those of you working from home, I've got a tip for you. In the morning when you make your breakfast, you should go ahead and plate out a lunch for yourself. It's the equivalent of packing a lunch. It's just that you're not going anywhere or, you know, putting it in a cooler bag. You just have a nice plate on the counter covered in saran wrap. When you come out of your office at lunchtime, there's your food, it's made, you eat it, and then you just go back to work. Also, I recommend if you're going to be working from home is that you have a nice big jug of water with some healthy snacks next to you so you don't experience any blood sugar crashes or things like that. Okay, the 4th most important thing that we have to do is sleep more. Yes, I know, can you believe it? With all this stress, I hope that your sleep has not been affected. We have to focus on winning the day and doing whatever we can and then being at peace with it. So you do whatever you need to do and then you release it honestly and you let God, because that's all you could do in one day. So stick to a regular sleep program, no exceptions, right? So having a routine sleep schedule is the key to just boosting your immunity and having a sound and restful sleep. So we do have a sleep hygiene PDF download for everyone that's on tonight that I want to share with you, just so you can get a better idea of what I'm talking about for sleep routines and help you maybe with some of the habits you've fallen into by correcting those so you can get a deeper, more fulfilling sleep and restful sleep. Some of the things are, you know, setting a bedtime, no exceptions, not changing it. Turning down the lights 1 hour before bed. Having a cup of sleepy time tea or bedtime tea. Turning down screens, adjusting the light on those, or even shutting them off an hour before bed. And then if you have a TV in your bedroom, having it shut off at a certain time automatically and have that be about 30 minutes before your scheduled bedtime. But again, we're going to send out that plan with some more tips and tricks for you. All right. Now, the 5th most important thing that we could do over the next 90 days is build an exercise program for ourselves. Exercise drives oxygen, circulation to the brain. It boosts mood, energizes us. It clears the cobwebs out of the mind, boosts our immunity, and, you know, prevents you from having a stroke. So it's really not good to sit around all day. We got to get our bodies moving. So, you know, who's ever in your house, they need you. The whole reason why we're home quarantined is that they want you alive. So you are not going to die of a stroke on them. I've heard from many people spending 10 to 12 hours a day in front of their computers working from home. Hey, I'm thrilled that you still have a job and you're able to work from home, but we really need to rethink what our exercise is going to be, how we're going to build it into our day, and then what's that's going to look like. So we do have to unpack some of these new challenges and build new routines for ourselves, because none of us are at the gym. We all have gym memberships, but we're not there. So what is your workout going to be? And how do you plan on getting your steps in? I know I put on another blog post that, you know, one woman I talked to, she went from 10,000 steps a day one week to 800 steps a day the next week. I mean, it's real. It's serious. We need to move our bodies. I know that many gyms have taken their exercise classes online for their members. I know there are so many apps and free things that you can download. I don't want you to get lost in the details. I just want you to find one thing, if you like it, and then build a routine for yourself. Okay, and you could scour your house for home exercise equipment or whatever you could come up with, and then build a circuit for yourself. Okay, so those are my 5 tips for navigating the next 90 days. So it starts with number 1, let's get our mindset straight. 2, let's develop a family plan so that everyone is on board with us, okay? So we are stronger together, who's ever in our nuclear family. And then 3, using food as medicine. 4, sleeping more. And then 5, finally exercising and building all new routines around all of these things. Before I open it up to Q&A, I do want to say, please read the COVID-19 blogs. They are there for you. They're real life stories and examples of people who are struggling in our community just like you with a lot of the same things we all are. They are there to be encouraging and to be helpful. I know that this situation is a health situation, and it's also a financial situation. And taking care of yourself is the most important thing you could do. And it's the number 1 thing you have control over right now. So, you know, we're sensitive to people's financial circumstances. And honestly, we have memberships to help you achieve your health goals as low as $100 a month. And finally, you know, have me and my family been affected by this? Absolutely. Gerardo's home with us. His restaurant's been closed. He's not working. Braulio's home. We're homeschooling him. And it's not like, you know, I'm just instantly a teacher and I know how to homeschool, but we're figuring it out as we go along. We stopped juicing. Obviously, we're not going to the gym. Everything in our world is different, but it doesn't mean that we stop moving. I haven't changed. What I'm passionate about hasn't changed. In fact, this has fired me up to be more passionate than ever. And after last year, I'm stronger than ever. And you know where it starts? It starts right here. So it's not time to be perfect. It's time to be courageous. And each day we just take a step and we do what needs to be done. And if there's something that we need, we just figure it out on the fly. So it's one day at a time and we stay in motion. And that's how I made it through last year, and that's how we're going to make it through the next 90 days. So with that, I want to open it up to questions, Melissa. I want to know what questions people have.
Hi, Dr. Purcell. Yeah, we've had some good questions come in. Let me go through a few of them here, and you guys can keep throwing those in the chat box too if you have more that come up. If we have time, we'll definitely address them. We had a couple that were emailed to us prior to tonight, so I thought I'd just start with those. The first is for the stores that are offering senior shopping hours. It seems those times are overly crowded. Is it really wiser than going when the stores are a lot less crowded?
Okay, so if you're still going to the store, I think you should go when the store is the least crowded. You do not have to abide by the senior shopping hours if there's more people there than during the regular hours. Also, many people are using pickup at the stores where, let's say it's Fry's or Ralph's grocery store. You submit your order online. Now there's somewhere between a 3 and a 5 day turnaround, so it's not an immediate response, but you can drive through and they can just put it in your car and you could drive away. That's option one. Option two is for an additional $10, you can get a delivery option where they take the groceries to your home and deliver it.
All right, thank you. Next question, has testing improved?
No. Testing is still very limited and they're saving the test kits for the people who really need it. And I don't see that we're all going to be able to get tested. No. And if you mean like the efficacy of the testing and the quality of the testing, it's all emerging right now, but as of today, no.
Okay. Next is another grocery store question. Should I wear gloves to the grocery store, and do homemade masks protect the person wearing it?
That's a good question. I guess it depends on what the homemade mask is made from. Gloves to the grocery store, absolutely. And if you have a mask, absolutely. Again, try not to go. Mm-hmm. I mean, things are really, for those in the East Coast, it's very bad now. But as things move west, it's going to be ramping up here. And the predictions for April are, really starting to build by April 17th in Arizona. And the only thing that's holding it back right now is the social distancing.
Okay. The next one that came in is this person has been working in their garden and walking around their apartment complex, otherwise staying in. Is that too extreme for her mental health?
Working in the garden and walking around the apartment complex, I think you need to do both of those things. I'm not sure about what too extreme for the mental health is. What I would say is they're probably
that's their only.
When are we going to be able to get the antibody assays?
Oh, hello. Hold on. I'm going to go ahead and mute you. If you could put your question in the chat box. Hold on, Dr. Purcell. I don't see where the person is unmuted. Maybe they muted themselves.
I think they just muted. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Should I go on to the next question for you?
Wait a minute. So let me just finish that question. So that person, they probably need to do an at-home exercise workout. It's good for, it would be like a little bit more exercise than just walking and gardening.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
So maybe some body weight exercises or something. We are releasing a level 1 beginner at-home workout with very little equipment, just a chair, a wall, and a couple of water bottles. I think that's going to come out in tomorrow's blog or maybe Friday's blog.
Excellent. Okay. Does having high blood pressure have an adverse impact on recovering from the virus?
Okay, so having high blood pressure, so that falls into chronic disease, heart disease category, and people who are taking high blood pressure medications, it is thought that they are then in the higher risk category because of it. So the question would be surviving the virus if you're a high blood pressure patient.
Yeah. Yes.
You're in a high risk category if you're on blood pressure medication, you have high blood pressure. Mm-hmm. So I would say social distancing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's look at a couple other ones here. This person is struggling with falling into some old ways and finding it hard to leave the house for a walk.
And that's about getting the mindset. So what I would say is refer back to the COVID blog on the stages of grief. And that's where you start. So you start to identify, okay, I'm grieving here. I'm seeing some of these emotional patterns, like, you know, and then that's where it is. I think a lot of us last weekend had to give ourselves a pep talk, like, okay, this is happening. This is real. Life has changed. It's not going to go back to the way it was in 2 weeks. How do we get up to speed with a game plan and a plan of action for the next 90 days? And that's really what we're talking about here. And it's part of the stages of grief. It's like, I can't believe this is happening. You know, you're in denial. Like, it's part of the natural process. What I saw this week as I was talking to people is that people are somewhere between stage 4 and 5 of grief. But really, everyone should go back to that blog and just really take a look at it and see where you are, because this is a grieving process.
Thank you, Dr. Purcell. And then I've typed the blog link in the chat box, but you can just go to our homepage of the website. It's drandreapurcell.com. And there's a link right there on the homepage, or you can click in the blog tab at the top, and it's the COVID-19 blog. Dr. Purcell's got some amazing posts coming out every day. So I definitely want to encourage you guys to check that out. Okay, I have a couple more questions if you have the time, Dr. Purcell.
Yeah, let's get to all the questions.
Great. From the chat box, if you choose grocery order pickup, isn't there a concern that someone else has touched all of your groceries recently?
Yes, this came up at least 3 times today. So whoever asked that question, thank you. So when you get grocery store pickup, or if you even get it delivered, or if you even get a box from Amazon delivered to your house, or any other box, you need to leave it for a minimum of 24 hours. Some other doctors I know are leaving things sit for 48 hours in a garage or outside. If you get grocery pickup, you've got like a blanket in your car that it's getting sat on. You pick it up with gloves when you remove it from your trunk, and you sit it in your garage or wherever, and it's just going to sit there.
Okay, good advice.
Wait, I just want to say, so I am going to release, and I think this information is widely out there, how long the virus lives on certain surfaces, and on cardboard, it's 24 hours.
Okay. Okay. When will the antibody be available, and how do we go about getting it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. We've got very smart people working around the clock trying to get as much information as possible on this virus and help the bulk of our population. I don't know. I mean, the information that we're getting is all emerging, and it's really hard to say. You know, I know our blog post that went out today, a lot of people were asking about the medications that came up at the end of last week. You know, are they helpful? Are they not helpful? The point is all the information we're getting is from the front lines, where they're dealing with people who are very, very sick. And not all the time does that information extrapolate to healthy people. You know, again, we're 4 weeks behind where we should be, and we're doing the best that we can.
Thank you. Okay, let me scroll back up here. It looks like we have a few trickling in, and it's pushing it up. So we got, the question is, if we eat out, is it safe?
We haven't been eating out. We have not been doing pickups. It's a good question. Hopefully your food, you get it and it's piping hot and everything has been killed.
Okay.
But I mean, any time you get something that's handed off from somebody else, it's another variable. It increases the risk.
Right.
Good time to cook at home. You know how I feel about cooking wholesome, nutritious food.
All right, next question coming in is going for a walk outside harmful? I was walking recently and ended up getting sick. Oh, hold on, let me scroll back up. I have been self-isolating since. When my self-isolation is up this Saturday, is it safe to walk outside again?
Well, for the patients that I have in New York City, I would say no. I think it just depends on where you live. If it's Arizona, right now, yeah, take a walk around your little street or something. Yes. Still better to walk. We can't, again, I don't want any of us dying of a stroke inside our houses. We got to move our blood. We got to walk. We got to get these exercise routines. You know, just practice the social distancing and take a walk.
Okay. And is grapefruit extract okay to take when feeling unwell?
Maybe the question is about grapefruit seed extract. Grapefruit seed extract is helpful for parasitic infections and stomach flu type things. So yes, if you know how to take it, or if I've directed you to do that in the past.
Okay. What about doing laundry at a shared apartment, this laundry facility?
That's a good question. I would say not a risk to your clothes. You got to wash them in hot water. That should be fine. Just I would be cautious about exposure to you. So gloves, face mask. You know, the amount of time that the virus lives on metal surfaces is longer. They're thinking somewhere between 3 and 7 days now.
Okay. Looks like we have one more question. We'll see if more trickle in. For children, what about vitamin C amounts?
Vitamin C, yeah. So if any of you have vitamin C, I hope you all have vitamin C. People have started taking vitamins who never took vitamins in their whole life. And I don't even know if they're taking them. Maybe they just bought them to be safe. But there is a back order on vitamin C. If you can find vitamin C, go ahead and get it. There's a back order on a lot of immune modulating supplements right now because of what's going on. Dosages for children, I like 1,000 milligrams. You know, if you look at the US RDA is the bare minimum, so you don't get scurvy, you know, and they say, oh, you know, maybe 200 for kids, but I like 1,000. I regularly give my son 1,000 milligrams of liposomal vitamin C. He's never gotten diarrhea.
Thank you, Dr. Purcell. I guess
the side effect is diarrhea, so not too bad of a side effect.
That's all the questions. Anyone else have anything to type in before Dr. Purcell signs us off?
Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit more about going back into old ways and stress eating. Stress eating and going back to old ways is not going to help boost your immunity, and it's not going to make you stronger. It's just going to help you gain the COVID-19 and then not do so well if you do get COVID. So I think it's just really about, hey, this is an opportunity to up level. And yeah, we can't all get as much fresh stuff as we did before. Like I said, my family and I, we stopped juicing, but it doesn't mean that, you know, I went back to eating Cheerios for breakfast. You know, I'm still eating my vegetables and my potatoes and my plant-based and the things that make me feel good. But it's just one day at a time. You know, we just got to win the day. And then tomorrow's a new day.
Couple more have rolled in if you want to try and take a stab at them real quick.
Let's do it. It's not 6 yet. Let's hit them all.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, I'm going to scroll back up here. Let's see real quick. When should we go to the doctor? Great question.
Yes. Okay. So like, you know, there's lots of things that are going on this time of year. So we've got seasonal allergies, rhinitis. We still have colds and flu circulating. And then obviously we have COVID. So it's hard for most of us to discern, okay, is this allergies? Am I getting sick? My throat's sore, my nose is running. And that's honestly where you need to call your primary care doctor. And like I said earlier, I know a lot of you, I know your medical histories, just call us. You know, I could talk you through it and we'll go from there. I mean, some people have concerns that they've been exposed and they need to self-quarantine. That's a whole nother situation. Other people are sick and they're not sure if it's just their sinuses or what. And of course, we're all paranoid, like, oh my gosh, do I have COVID? Just stay away from the urgent cares, contact your primary cares. I mean, right now, throughout the entire nation, primary cares are triaging all the sick people, and helping talk you through it, and then making the decision with the person if they actually need to go to the ER, to the hospital, or something like that. But the COVID symptoms, you know, the shortness of breath for sure, you know, difficulty breathing, shortness of breath, that's where things start to get really serious.
Okay. Let's see here. Does having fibromyalgia increase your risk and other chronic health issues?
I would say fibromyalgia, no. I mean, what we're looking at right now is people who are on a long list of medications, definitely heart disease. If you're on immunosuppressant drugs, some biologics, you know, for autoimmune Crohn's, colitis, RA, lupus, things like that, your immune system is already struggling.
Okay. Circling back around to the laundry room share, is there a way to clean metal surfaces?
I mean, yeah, you just have to, you know, either use your Clorox wipes or the things that are known to kill 99.9% of bacteria, making, you know, your own hand sanitizer with the high alcohol content could be good too, but yeah, and then wearing gloves.
Okay. How to eat fresh produce when you are avoiding the grocery store?
Yeah, it's tough. We're on week 2 of our quarantine, and most of our fresh produce is down. So we're making some decisions right now. Are we gonna go and pick up and have it put in our trunk? Are we gonna get the delivery? What are we gonna do? You know, one of the initial blogs that went out was all about grocery shopping. This was over 2 weeks ago, and how to plan for keeping produce, and what to freeze, and really kind of how to think ahead. So we get to this point where we need to keep eating plants, and where are they going to come from? They're going to come from our freezer. Yeah.
Okay. Looks like we have a couple more, and oh, yep. Yeah, here we go. So if we buy fresh fruit and veggies, would soaking them in apple cider vinegar kill the virus?
Okay. No, vinegar is not killing this virus. And the other thing is fruits and veggies, you really don't want to like drown them in dish soap either, because that takes a lot of nutrients and the essential vital forces off your fruits and veggies. I mean, it's a fine line. That's where, you know, the recommendations are to just leave everything for 24 hours, then come back to it, rinse everything off really good, wipe down all the boxes and stuff, maybe with a Clorox wipe, and then, you know, put it in your house.
Okay. Okay, I think we have some tips coming in about some farmers markets, it looks like, supplying produce boxes with extra cleaning processes in Phoenix. You guys can kind of scroll through the chat box and maybe get some of those tips for some locations near you. Thanks for posting that, everyone. There's a few people posting different locations. That's really, really helpful.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
I think that's it for questions. We're approaching 6. If you want to take us out.
Well, sounds great. Thank you so much for assisting with the chat. Thank you all for being here tonight. And I hope you found it helpful. So continue to check the blogs, and, you know, we'll be sending out the emails, and we're here for you. If you just need anything, please reach out. We're happy to help. And again, we want you to win the next 90 days. Take good care.